I want to hear it all. Okay, so we're here with Tom Dorry, who was in the UDT from 66 to through 69. Thanks for coming, Tom. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? A brief overview?
Sure. I went to school in Ortonville, and in the next fall, I went to Wahpeton School of Science.
What'd you go there for?
Nothing really.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Did you have an idea at that point?
No, because I don't know what I wanted to do. So anyway, I walked in first class. I said, this is not what I wanted. So I made it through one quarter, blew all my money that I'd saved up for the summer, and came back home, and my draft notice was waiting for me. Beulah Carlson sent me a nice little form letter that said, I've got 2 weeks to decide what to do. And I went home and told my dad, and he says, well, you're not joining the Army. So that left my choices pretty slim. So I had two brothers in the Navy, so I thought, well, I might as well join the Navy, and talked to the recruiter, and he said, what would you like to do? And I said, well, I want to be a Navy frogman. And the guy laughed right in my face.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he says, that is so closed up, you would never get into it. What do you really want to do? And I said, how about aviation mechanic? He said, yeah, we can do that. Well, once you decide what you want to do, you're stuck with it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had I couldn't advance because I didn't work on airplanes, so didn't know anything about them. So it kind of screwed me over, but oh well. I went to boot camp, and halfway through boot camp, this really buff guy comes in and says, they had a bunch of the companies together and said, we're looking for volunteers for UDT. I'm your guy.
So you got back to where you wanted to be the whole time?
Yeah. So I spent 3 months after boot camp on an aircraft, it was a helicopter carrier, the USS Iwo Jima, mess cooked on there. And then the training started.
So you were in the mess till the training started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Till the training. And the first day they lined us up, dress uniforms, with our back to the bay, and this guy says, about face, and we turned around, and guy marched us right into the bay.
So where about, what bay were you in at that point?
This was San Diego.
In San Diego?
San Diego Bay. We were in Coronado, which is right across the bay from San Diego. And it's a amphibious base, they call it.
Okay. So how tall was the ship off the water at that point? If you marched, were you on the ship?
No, we're on land.
Oh, you're on land.
We're on land, yes. And
Okay.
he just marched us right off into the bay. And, all right, you got 15 minutes. Get back here and your work closed.
Yep.
And then it was, I don't know, like 18 weeks of just pure hell. If you made a mistake, it was, drop and give me 50. And that's 50 push-ups, and you better bounce your chest off the ground or you start over again.
So were you in good shape when you got there then?
No, I was never a jock in high school or anything. I was a good swimmer, and that was about it.
Okay. So can we go back to when you were back in Ortonville for a few seconds?
Sure.
So you grew up in Ortonville?
Yes, lifelong on the lake. So swam all the time.
Did your parents swim? Or where'd you learn to swim or get the passion?
I went through I lifeguarded the year I graduated at the pier.
Oh, there was a lifeguard at the pier?
Oh, yeah. 3 of us.
Okay.
$1 an hour.
Did they have chairs set up down there then?
No umbrellas, no nothing.
No
Just
nothing?
sat out in that sun.
I'm
paying for it now with...
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
With no suntan lotion.
Right.
So at that time, what did you... On the pier, the three of you, did you just watch... Was there a lot of people swimming at that time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was no pool, so it was a great time.
I bet it was.
There were swimming lessons and all that at the pier, and a diving board and
Where was the diving board?
at the end of the pier.
Really?
And I think they had a raft too at one time.
Okay, so they went. People swam a ways out from the pier.
And there was a changing house right there.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Where was the changing house? Up on the grass?
Walk up to the end of the pier and then to the right.
Okay, like
was-
towards the old
The water.
sewer, the water
Yeah.
treatment. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you liked doing in high school?
Nope.
That was just swimming.
Yep. Just swimming.
Okay. Did you do mechanic work then?
A little. My dad had a car dealership at the time. And
Is that where you got your lifelong Dodge?
yes, for sure.
So what kind of car did you have? Did you have like a brand new Dodge off the lot then?
No. Well, I ordered a 1969 Roadrunner to be delivered on when I got home from the first tour.
Okay. But in high school, you didn't
I
have
had a 55 Plymouth that he called the Turquoise Terror.
And I got one more question. Could you explain to me how the draft worked at that point?
Yeah, at that time there was no draft numbers. If you weren't in school, or if you were 4F, which is sick or not healthy enough,
Yep.
you were drafted. That's how many people they needed.
So then how did it work it was just on a lottery if your name came up?
No,
Or it was just everybody?
everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the ages at the time? Do you know? It was just everyone.
18 to
Okay, so they were taking absolutely every male
Yeah.
at that point
Yeah.
if you weren't going to school?
yeah.
Okay. Did it matter if you're married or not married at that time?
It might have made a difference whether you're farming or not. I mean, in World War II it did,
Yep. But not to your knowledge?
but not to my knowledge.
Okay.
And married, I don't think that
Didn't matter.
made a difference either.
Okay. So then where'd you go to basic at?
San Diego.
So you started, how'd you get to San Diego from here then?
Flew.
Flew? Okay.
First time on an airplane.
That's what I was going to
Yeah.
say. Was that the
Yeah.
first time?
Yeah.
That was my first time that I ever flew was to Fort Sill,
Okay. Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that was fun. And then there's the naval. Well, it's for boot camp.
Okay.
They had a pretend ship there. Lots of marching and
Did they get you kind of in shape to keep going?
not really.
Not really, no.
And the time 3 months on that ship really hurt.
Oh,
I
bet.
didn't do anything.
So what's like the main gist of the basic part of the Navy? Is it called basic
Yep,
Navy?
basic.
Is it?
Yep.
And how many weeks was that? Or do you know? Was that a couple months? or-
Yeah, it was 12 weeks maybe.
Okay. Is that mostly like shipborne stuff then? That's what you're learning? Fine.
Yeah, you learn the different ranks and you get a lot of shots.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So then what did you do? You went from there to the mess? So then were you cooking for like in the chow hall for 3 months?
My big job was peeling potatoes.
For 3 months?
Yep. You take a sack of potatoes and you throw it in this cement mixer and wait until they're about the size of a golf ball, and you take them out and they're peeled.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing else in the cement mixer, just potatoes?
Yeah.
And they just peel themselves?
And there's like nails in there that.
Oh. That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Better than using a knife.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So were you happy when the UDT finally started to get out of that?
Yeah. Yeah. Scared.
Oh, I bet.
But I at least ran into a guy that was waiting to start the school too. So we became just best friends
Okay.
all the way through the Navy.
Cool.
I don't keep in track with keep in touch with anybody anymore. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But at the time.
At the time, yeah, we were really close.
Well, that's cool. So once you started UDT, then was that mostly swimming and physical?
It was all physical.
All physical?
Yeah. Our longest swim was 6 miles, and I think it was 55-degree water and no wetsuit, just swim trunks.
Oh, did you get fins then?
Yeah, swim fins.
Swim fins?
Yeah.
How cold are you when you get out of that?
There was one guy that finished, and he just laid on the beach and flopped around like a fish.
I bet.
Yeah, he was so cold. We called him Pappy. He was 26 years old.
The old guy?
Yeah.
Was most everyone else there like 18, 19?
Yeah. Yeah, he was the oldest guy.
So was that so it was like the first phase of it all physical and just weeding people out?
Yes, and abuse. He took a lot of abuse.
Oh, I bet.
And then the 4th week, it's called Hell Week. And
okay.
That's mostly sleep degradation. You'd maybe get a 15-minute sleep in, and they would come in with a shotgun and shoot it a couple of times, and it just scared you to death. And you didn't dare take your boots off because you wouldn't be able to get them back on you because your feet would swell up. So went to bed all wet. And
is that when the like the boat drills and that kind, was that?
Yep.
Boat drills.
We had they're called IBS's, inflatable boat, small, and it was 7-man. And for a week we carried that raft on our heads. And if we did something really bad, then an instructor would get in, and you'd carry him around too. Plus
in the boat?
Yes. Yes. It was tough. And I got done with Hell Week, and commanding officer called me in and said, "Son, you might as well quit because we're going to cut you." I said, "Well, then you're going to have to cut me because I'm not quitting." So, and I think what it was they had people dropping out left and right. All you had to do is say, "I quit."
Yep.
And your life went back to being a person again. And I just couldn't quit. So, and that's what they were looking for, is people that with mental
that would
capacity,
take it.
that could take it. We had guys that were way stronger, faster, better swimmers than me by far.
Yep.
They just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I think that seems like it's like with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if you're the biggest, strongest of anything or smartest.
Right.
You just have to not quit.
And that pretty much stayed with me all my life. It was a good, I don't know what you'd call it, but it really helped me get through some bad times and stuff.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. I mean, that's a good lesson to learn when you're
it really
18.
Is. It really is. Yep.
How many people do you think quit?
Oh, it started out with 100 and maybe 20, 25.
Made it through Hell Week?
Yep.
So
they had people dropping out every day.
Okay.
And we had one guy that got blisters on his feet so bad that he couldn't go on. It was like a week left. Oh. He had to go back and start all over again on the next class. Did it.
Oh, he did it?
Yep.
Did you ever talk to him after that?
Oh,
See him again?
Yeah, it was in our team.
Okay.
Yep.
And he made it all the way back through the second time?
Yeah. That
takes a lot.
Took a lot of courage. Yes.
Yeah. After you know what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So graduated, and usually the next step is go to Fort Benning and go to jump school, Army Airborne. Well, we didn't have time, so we flew into Okinawa, and they had a little jump school there. Okay. So we went through Army Airborne. We had a ball. We gave those Army guys so much grief. And, they liked it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always good humor.
Yeah.
So how many jumps did you do?
13.
13? Is that what you need to do to get qualified?
No, 5.
5? Okay.
Yeah. I broke my ankle in 3 places on my second jump.
So then did you have to wait until it healed to keep going?
Yeah. And then they took me out to a helicopter, and I did 3 jumps in a row.
Oh, okay.
Boom, boom. Yeah, that was really cool.
I bet that was really fun.
Yeah.
Did you like that? Like, did you like jumping?
It was okay. When I broke my ankle, the wind was so strong that I bounced off the ground when I hit. And,
Did the chute pull you then down
yeah, for a little ways, and they had to wait for the swelling to go down, so I was in the hospital for almost a month, and then they put a 4-inch screw in my ankle that's still there.
Oh, so did your class keep going then? And did you join the next? You just joined the next class that came, or?
Well, no. The next class that came, I was pretty much healed up, so they made me an instructor. I've got a picture of it in my.
You were an old pro by then?
Yeah, and I gave them a lot of grief the next class, but they got over it.
I bet. So when you jumped, was that like static line?
Yes,
Okay.
all static.
All static line?
Army jumps C-130 Hercules, and that is not very much fun because you're jumping right behind the engines, and the prop blast is severe, and you go head over.
Does it spin you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In the Navy, we either jumped C-47s or helicopters where you run off the back ramp.
Oh, so is helicopters easier then when you're not moving?
Yeah, it's really fun.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
So then where'd you go after you got airborne qualified? What was your next?
Then I went to Subic Bay in the Philippines. That's where our headquarters was overseas.
Okay.
And then from there, I got assigned to a World War II vintage submarine.
Okay. So where did you learn did you learn swimming and demo and that kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah.
At some point, whereabouts was that training?
The demolition training was in San Clemente Island.
Okay.
It's west of Santa Catalina. Mm-hmm. Beautiful island, and the Navy owned the whole thing. So we did all of our demolition work out there.
Okay, so the Army, when you became airborne qualified, that was your last step of training?
No.
Okay.
Pretty much when you're in the States, you're expected to be in a school somewhere.
Okay.
Most of the time. So I went to diesel mechanic school. I went to outboard motor, how to fix outboards.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was, anytime I was on a boat, I was called the engineer.
You knew it all?
Yeah, I kept it running anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we had some pretty nice boats.
I bet. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming they were top of the line boats of the time.
Real heavy fiberglass.
Okay.
But we would go to San Clemente for something to do, like abalone hunting and stuff. So I got to pilot the boats a lot.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it really was fun.
So were they tillers, or did they have a steering wheel?
Steering wheel.
Steering wheel?
Yeah. And we had one boat that didn't have a transom on it. And you'd line the people up in the cabin and come running out as fast as you could and try and land right on top of the guy ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you would be 20 feet apart.
You were going that fast?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was fun. So we did a lot of that kind of stuff.
A lot of that stuff. So it's training is fun.
Yeah,
Cool.
we went through a lot of survival training and all that.
Yep.
We one class that we took was in the Philippines, and they took us out in the jungle and showed us what to eat and stuff.
Okay, so how long were you in the Philippines for? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Months? Months or a year?
No, months.
Okay.
See, the submarine, their only mission was to haul us around. We had like 15 people in our detachment.
Okay.
On the sub, and we would go to Vietnam and do our work and run out of provisions after so long and then go back to the Philippines on the South China Sea.
See?
Yeah.
So the whole purpose, that whole submarine was just for you?
Just for us. There was it was a World War II vintage sub, the Tunny.
Okay.
And after World War II, they converted it to a missile carrier. Oh. And they had a big tube on the back of behind the conning tower. And that's where they carried the missiles. And then when they became obsolete, they ripped all that out, put some bunks in, and that's where we stayed with all of our equipment.
So was it pretty tight then? I imagine.
Yeah, it was very cramped, but I loved it.
How big a space on a sub does one UDT man get?
A bunk.
One bunk?
Yeah.
And then you're like, do you get any personal gear on that?
No, none. Because we had outboard motors and our rubber rafts and all that stuff in there. Pretty much, if you wanted to lay on your back, you crawled in on your back, and if you wanted to roll over, you had to get out of the bunk to do it. So it was pretty tight.
That's pretty tight. So then, I don't know much about subs. Is there just a very small mess kitchen?
Yeah.
To eat?
They served 4 different messes, I think, and we were the last ones to eat. But the food was good.
Oh, okay.
Food was always good.
How many person table?
Oh,
like can the whole 15?
Maybe 20. Yeah, 15, 20 people.
20. So you could all eat together?
Yep. And they always showed movies in the mess hall.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So we saw the same movies night after day, or day after day, and yeah.
You got used to it.
Yeah.
So how long would it take to get from the Philippines to Vietnam?
Oh, God. A couple of days. At night, we'd be on the surface, and I could go up in the conning tower and look around. It was really cool.
I bet it was.
Yeah. I loved that part of it.
You never swam, though, or anything?
Once in a while, they would let the ship's crew do a saltwater bath.
Was that's the only bath on the...
That was in the ocean.
Yeah. But could you shower? Was there showers on the sub?
No.
Yeah,
Not that I ever saw.
Not that you were allowed to use.
Yeah. You could smell when one of the ship's crew was coming. A few weeks of not showering. Gets to you.
I bet it does.
At least we swam every night, so we,
Yeah. So once you got to Vietnam in the sub, what was the mission like?
Our mission was reconnaissance.
Okay.
Beach reconnaissance, babysitting the Marine Corps.
Getting ready for them?
Yeah.
So what would you do to recon a beach? What's the steps of doing that?
We had a plastic, probably 4 inches by 8 inches long, and had squares carved into it. And you had a pencil with a string on it. And we'd have one person on the beach, and you rotate all the time.
Yep.
And he would have a flashlight, and he would blink it, and then you knew that it was. And you had a line that you were holding onto that kept you so much apart. So you were always. And then we had a lead weight with a line on it and knots, so you could tell what the depth was, and you'd mark that down in your little deal and go on to the next one. And when you were done, you swam back out. And then my job after we got back was I was the cartographer.
Okay.
And I made charts to show what the depths were and any obstacles and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of fun. That was Bert Fowler as my 7th grade industrial arts teacher.
Well, so that's all in the dark.
Yep.
All in the dark with one person in the beach with a flashlight.
Yep.
So that's pretty primitive.
Yeah.
like modern tools at all. Just a rope and a pencil, basically.
Yeah, basically. But we had starlight scopes and.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah.
For doing the beach recons.
Not so much for that, but
okay.
We had a Swedish K submachine gun in the raft.
Yo. Yeah, you need something.
Yeah, it just threw it in the bottom and it was underwater, and those things were amazing.
So where would you do the recons all the way up Vietnam then?
Yeah, we had no idea where we were. It was just a number.
Okay. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then how many of those would you do on a submarine trip? Like
every night.
Every night
every night we'd have a different one. Yeah.
Okay, and what year was that?
67, 68, and 69.
Okay.
One night, in UDT, you always have a swim buddy.
Yep.
No matter what you're doing in the water, you always have a swim buddy. Well, one night my swim buddy and I got separated from the rest of the group. And so, what do we do now? They left us.
Yep.
And looked back into the beach and looked out to the ocean and said, well, we better start swimming. So we started swimming and we...
Out?
Yeah, out.
Okay.
Yeah. We didn't know if it was friendly or...
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a curfew at night. Anytime after dark, there's a curfew and nobody's supposed to be out there. Well, we're swimming along and all of a sudden here's this boat with two guys in it paddling.
Oh, no.
Oh, it scared us to half to death.
I bet. Because I bet you didn't know they were there until they were right there.
Right there. I mean, I could have touched the boat. The only thing I could think of doing was started yelling at them. We had a K-bar knife.
Yep.
So we each had a knife. And if we would have tipped the boat over, we would have had the advantage. But
yep. They just kept going?
They hot-footed out of there. Yeah.
They did.
Because they weren't supposed to be there. So
yeah.
That made a good story. And we
so how big of waves are you doing this in? Like
sometimes the surf was, and sometimes it gets so rough that you'd have to abort the mission. Just go back.
So then how do you find people out in the middle of the ocean after you're just swimming recklessly?
Yeah, I don't know how we ever found that submarine, but we did.
How far away? I've never been.
Miles.
Like, how far?
He was waiting. They were waiting.
They were waiting? So did you just chance by them, or can you
I
see
guess.
them?
I guess. They were rigged for red.
Okay.
So, but to start our mission, the submarine would go in towards the shore until it hit 60 feet of water.
Okay.
And then we would lock out, which you go into the escape chamber. Mm-hmm. And no goggles or anything, or no face mask, because if you had a face mask, they might see that,
Oh, yeah, glare
reflection.
Whatever. Yep.
Yeah. So you would get in an escape chamber with 3 or 4 people without tanks, and if you had tanks on, then it was 2 people. But then water just starts coming up until you got an inch or 2 above your face where you're holding your, and then you can, it equalizes the pressure and you can open the hatch. And instead of having the opening, there's a wooden deck on top of the submarine.
Yep.
And instead of having the opening above this escape hatch, they had it down about 15 feet. So you just have to crawl along, holding your breath until you found the hole, and then you swim up. And
so how long do you have to hold your breath?
A couple minutes.
Seems like a long time. Yeah. And then was there oxygen tanks on the outside of the submarine, or did you just have to go to the surface?
Just go to the surface holding your breath.
Okay.
We have, one guy would have tanks and get the rubber rafts. They were all deflated and rolled up and fastened to the deck. He would have to unstrap it and hit the CO2 bottle and fill it up, and then it, go up to the surface.
Okay. And then you paddled?
Paddled, or once in a while we used a 15-horse outboard.
Okay.
But mainly paddling. And it's weird over there because there's phosphorescence in the water. So when you kick, you see this glow.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's microscopic animals.
That is weird. Yeah. So can you see the person in front of you because they're kicking then?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. So then on the opposite, when you come back?
When we came back, then the submarine would be surfaced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then would you just, do you still have to go through the lock then? Or do you just go through the top?
They'd open the back hatch on the dome that we stayed in. It was hydraulically operated, and the whole hatch would open.
Okay.
We'd put all of our gear away and
call it a night?
Yep, call it a night.
Well, did you see many people or anything on the beaches?
No, we got shot off the beach one night. We were heading back out, and all of a sudden we could see 50 caliber tracers going over our heads. And the lead guy says, "In the water." So we jumped in and held onto the boat and
swam back.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was friendly fire or what it was, but it gets your attention.
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's friendly or not friendly. You don't want to be.
Yeah. We had a swift boat shoot at the submarine once when it was surfaced, because he wasn't supposed to be there either. So
the swift boat wasn't supposed to be there?
No, the submarine wasn't supposed to be there.
So did the swift boat figure it out then?
Well, we dove.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to see any of it, of course, but
no.
It was fun.
I bet. Yeah, that would be that'd be weird for both people. Not weird, but it'd be scary for both the sub and the swift boat.
Yeah.
Seeing a sub or seeing something.
Yeah. One of the most exciting things that happened to me was in 1968. It was called the Tet Offensive, and at the time we didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the submarine got orders to do something else, and they didn't want us on board. So the USS Oriskany aircraft carrier sent a helicopter over and put a sling down, and you put it under your arms and lifted us into the helicopter and flew us over to the Oriskany. And from there, we stayed on the carrier for a few days, and they said, well, we've got a plane going into Da Nang for a mail run. If you want to go along, you can. So it's a twin-engine prop airplane with a big dome on top of it. It's like a radar dome.
Okay.
I think it's called a COD. Well, anyway, our whole detachment flew in the plane. I mean, it was a pretty substantial plane.
Yeah.
And we sat backwards, and the guy says, keep your feet on the floor. It was impossible to keep your feet on the floor. We did 114 miles an hour in a second and a half.
Oh, wow.
We got catapulted off.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
And then we flew into Da Nang, and as soon as the guy hit the brakes, a brake line broke, and off into the weeds we went. So that whole thing was pretty exciting. And then we were in Da Nang during the entire Tet Offensive, which, man, there were shells going off all over.
Oh, that was, yes.
Yeah. So I couldn't wait to get back out to that submarine.
I bet you felt a lot safer on the submarine.
Yes, I did. A lot safer.
So how long were you in Da Nang for then?
I think it was a week or two.
Okay. So you didn't know that anything was going on in Da Nang when you decided to go there?
Not really, yeah.
Seems like someone should have filled you in a little on that one.
I mean, it was like the 4th of July.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Flares going off, and
That was
pretty hairy.
that was one of the bigger fights of the
I
Tet
think it
Offensive,
was the
wasn't it?
biggest.
The Nang was?
I think it was the biggest, the Tet Offensive.
Yeah.
They came after us, so...
I got a question from before. You said you got lifted by a helicopter. That was off the sub in the middle of the sea?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
Not
was...
from like a shore or something.
No,
that was right off.
right off the submarine. So that's
kind of cool.
And we left all of our equipment on the sub.
So you didn't have any equipment either when you
No.
left there?
No.
No weapon, no nothing?
We did have a 9mm Smith & Wesson
Okay.
and a cool shoulder holster.
Okay.
That was our...
That's what you got.
was it.
And the same thing to go to Da Nang then?
Yeah.
Same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why we carried that 9mm with us when we were on the submarine. You couldn't possibly use it.
No.
Yeah.
I guess that keeps the poker games under wraps.
Yeah. Oh, we played cards
I bet.
all the time. You know, nothing to do.
No. Did you lose whole paychecks then at a time? Win and lose?
No, it was
Or
penny nickels.
penny?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I made really good money when I was in the Navy. Even as an E3. I just stayed in E3 because I knew I couldn't pass any tests.
Okay. So did you get more money for being in UDT?
Yeah.
Was there a bonus?
There
or
was airborne pay, dive pay, hazardous duty pay, combat pay, tax-free.
Oh, so you were living large.
Yeah, and nothing to spend it on, so...
Except for that Roadrunner that you're coming home to.
Yes. So that was a highlight of my whole career, was that Roadrunner.
I bet it was.
It was cool, yeah.
So how many tours did you do?
I did 2.
2? Yeah. So the first tour, did you get to come home after that for a little bit?
Yes, to pick up my car.
Okay.
I ended my career with a lot of vacation days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you did, well, how long was that? How long a tour did you spend in Vietnam the first?
Well,
or did they roll?
It was not. We had two teams, UDT 11 and UDT 12, and we rotated 9 months at a time.
Okay.
So with my broken ankle, I didn't get to do much.
Oh, okay.
As far as the sub and stuff, but
The second tour you did this. That's when you're in the sub. The first tour.
Well, I still got to go on the sub for 3 months.
Okay.
So I got credit. My ED 214 says I've got 4 stars on my Vietnam ribbon, which is kind of cool.
That is cool. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. That is cool.
So then when I got home from the second tour, that was early 1969, and the guy comes around and says, "Hey, we're looking for volunteers." And I said, "What do you got to do?" He says, "Well, you go out on an aircraft carrier for 30 days. I said, "Forget that. I'm not doing it." So one night we were in the bar and we watched our buddies recover Apollo 11 space capsule.
Really?
Yep. And I foolishly could have been on that crew. They jumped out of a helicopter and put a life ring around the capsule to keep it from sinking, because they had lost one a few years earlier.
Oh, okay.
The guy opened the hatch and down she went.
Oh, it just filled with water?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
they always say not to volunteer for anything.
Right. I should have volunteered for that one.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah. So then I thought they were going to let me early out because I had done both tours, and I had like 3 months left, and they said, we're going to send you out to Wake Island. Oh my God, you got to be kidding. there's a construction job out there. I said, all right, well, so we flew into Wake Island, and our job, the team before us had blown like a trench through the coral reef, and they were putting submarine detection cable in. And it was this cable that you had to put a steel, like drain tile, or it was in halves, and you had to bolt it together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really substantial. And our job was to build these stanchions that went up above the water and had cables, and the cables held the submarine detection cable.
So the submarine detection cable that just detected the submarine?
Yeah.
It didn't stop it from coming in.
No.
Okay.
No, they just wanted to know where they were.
Okay.
So anyway, we always rotated, and this day it was my job to run them. We had a Boston whaler, and we had bags of cement, and you'd swim them down and put them on the stanchions. Well, the guy in front was doing the cement, and I was just running the boat, and all of a sudden here comes this rogue wave. It must have been 10, 12 feet high, and the guy in front jumped off. I ran the boat it was like a surfboard.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I went through the cables, and one got me in the right arm and dragged me into the outboard motor face first.
Oh.
And I broke my nose and had cuts above my eyes, and the broken nose was the worst part. And my arm was just, I thought I was maybe gonna, it was really.
So the motor was still on at this point?
Yeah. And the next thing I know, I'm just standing on the beach. The boat's tipped over, and I'm saying, get me off this blankety blank island.
I bet. So did you get thrown into shore? Did you swim to shore?
I have no
idea.
I have no idea what happened. It happened so fast, but
how far out from the shore were you when you're doing that work?
Not very far, really. A couple hundred feet, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So they medevaced me into Hawaii. The funny part, the doctor on Wake Island says, son, I'm going to go with you so you make sure you get to where you're supposed to go and stuff. Because I was kind of walking wounded, and my nose was touching my cheek, and I was not. And he says, and I think I'll bring my wife along too, and she can take care of you. And I don't care. We no more than step off the plane, and he's gone.
He was going on vacation?
Yes. He didn't give a rip about me. So then I got my nose fixed and my arm in a sling, and they sent me back to the States. And
was it broken too then?
No, it was just ripped it.
Oh, okay.
Ripped it.
Did they stitch it all back together then?
I was kind of just hanging there. Yeah, it was nasty.
I bet it was.
Yeah. So then I got back, and they said, you know what? I think we'll give you an early out.
That's how you got your early out?
Yeah. Yes.
So how much was it before your enlistment then?
It was October, and I had listed in January, so a few months.
A few months.
Yeah.
Didn't you have a lot of leave?
Yes.
Like terminal leave to take at the end?
Yep.
So then once you got back, you got your Roadrunner.
Yep.
And then what?
Well, I had it in storage out there.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I drove it home, drove it out there. My oldest brother had a 64 Sport Fury, and we had a challenge 36 hours or less to make it out to San Diego. That's a challenge.
So is Ford or Dodge triumphant on that one? Or did you take both cars?
No, I mean, that was the challenge.
Oh, yeah.
My oldest brother was out by the time I went
okay.
in.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of driving.
Yeah, yeah. And the interstate was not there at the time, so.
Oh, it was all just
two-lane highways. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. I bet that was fun, though.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So then did you left San Diego and came back to where did you go to?
I went through Dallas, Texas to get home. I had kind of a girlfriend at the time living in Dallas. Her brother was a teammate of mine.
Oh, okay.
I had met her when she came to stay with him.
Okay.
Once we were in the teams, then we rented apartments.
In San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, what was down the Silver Strand from Coronado. I can't think of the name of it. El Cajon. Yeah.
Okay. It did a lot of the UDT people stay there then?
Yeah.
Kind of a community almost thing?
Yeah.
Well, that must have been kind of crazy and fun too.
Yeah, it was. It was. We worked really hard, but we partied even harder.
I think it goes that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a reputation to live down.
You gotta uphold the reputation.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in the Philippines, everybody, if like an aircraft carrier came in with a bunch of Marines on it, they had to prove that they were tougher than UDT guys. That was stupid.
I can see that
It was
happening.
really stupid, but
Yeah. Made for good stories, so.
yeah, it did.
Yeah. Was there do you have any more from the Vietnam era? Right.
Yeah, I'll probably think of
overseas?
100 things.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I have a couple questions
Sure.
for you. So what was, at the time, it was splitting from UDT and SEALs, wasn't it?
Yes, when you graduated from UDT training, you either had to choose go into the teams or go into SEAL team. Well, I had never even heard of SEAL team at the time because it was only 4 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
We shared the same, and I could have gone into SEAL team at any time. We shared the same compound. But I wanted to do more diving than they did. They set more like ambushes up and stuff in Vietnam.
Okay.
Sit there for days waiting.
So did being on the boat and stuff, when you were as a kid, did you have a boat then? Or did you just swam? Not just
We
swim.
had my dad had a boat as far back as I could remember.
Okay.
Old wooden boat and 5-horse Martin.
So the boat wasn't a new thing when you got to UDT?
No. The sub life, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I made a huge mistake. I should have gotten my Submariner, but we played cards all the time. I could have been studying on that, and that would have been a pretty neat accomplishment.
Yeah, what's a crew, what's the sub crew? How many people is there on a sub crew like that?
Somewhere between 60 and 80 guys.
Okay, so it's a pretty big.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big.
Yeah. And then they had torpedoes and the whole works.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. And then did you have to be quiet? Like, is that a thing to be quiet on the sub? It doesn't matter.
No, it didn't matter.
Okay.
We did, every once in a while, we'd have to do test dives. And she would go down to 300 feet. And that thing would creak and groan and...
That'd be kind of scary.
Yeah. And we had team members that the minute they got set foot on the sub until they got back out, they were seasick. Oh, just miserable.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah. And when you're submerged, it's smooth as glass. When you're on the surface, then it's rough.
Okay. That's a long time of being seasick.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never been seasick in my life.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be miserable. And then so what'd you do when you got back then? Did you take some time off?
Yeah, I spent a couple of weeks in Dallas, and then I drove home and started working for my dad.
Okay.
And took a pay cut.
Oh, I bet you did.
Yes,
I bet that was a big pay cut.
I did, yeah. But because I wanted to race cars, that was all my life. I wanted to be a race car driver.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't matter about the fame and fortune or anything. I just liked driving fast, and
that's a good profession.
And so, from scratch, I built 3 race cars.
I'm assuming Dodge.
Yep.
So what were they?
A 64 Plymouth, 65 Barracuda, and I was working on a 73 Cuda when I gave it up.
Okay. Where would you race? It was
Madison, Canby, Montevideo.
okay.
It was
Dirt
so
track.
much. Yeah, dirt track. It was so much fun.
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah.
So how many years did you did that?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay.
Yeah.
I bet that was a good time.
Yeah. Then I started driving over the road, and I got the bug. Mm-hmm. Enjoyed that. It was a good way of life.
Did you have a crew then when you raced cars?
Yeah. Well, yeah. My oldest brother had a car, and my brother-in-law had a car. We should have, pooled all of our resources and had one car.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to drive, so.
Yeah. So did you help each other work on them?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. It's nothing like it is nowadays.
No.
You can't tell one car apart from the other.
No, they all are.
Yeah. But back in the day, it was fun.
So did you have a faster car or did your brother have a faster car?
I had the fastest car. Yeah. I had a 440 in the 64 Plymouth.
I bet that thing screamed.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It didn't corner very good, but it straight away it was fast.
It's
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, like when we were in the Philippines, we had our own bar that we frequented.
Oh, okay.
Rainbow. They had, that was the craziest town I've ever seen. It was about the size of Ortonville, and every store was a bar.
Oh, man.
And every bar had a bodyguard with a weapon standing outside. And then we were there when they had the election for president, and they had these old Jeeps that they converted into taxis, and they were hanging on to that. They called them jeepneys, and we rode them all the time.
Yep.
And, it had all kinds of decorations and stuff on them, and there would be armed guards in the back of the Jeep.
Oh,
machine
wow.
guns, and yeah.
It was wild.
It was like the Wild Wild West.
So were they like just wooden shacks and basically?
Yeah, nothing fancy at all,
fancy.
because it was hot there all the time.
Yeah. So was it their whole business was just servicemen coming in and out?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were crazy when they didn't re-sign the lease for the Navy and kicked the Navy out of there. They had to have been, most of their revenue was sailors.
Sailors. I bet that was crazy when a ship would come in.
Oh yeah, it was. It was 5,000 men on there.
Shoulder to shoulder in every bar.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. They had little kids coming around, and they would entertain you, and you'd throw them a couple of
Bucks.
pesos. Centavos. Yeah.
So how far did you have? Was there a base? You must have had like living quarters there too.
Subic Bay.
How far was that from the bars then, or was it all just
Walking distance. Yeah. Alongapo was the town, but Subic Bay was the naval base, and I think there was an Air Force base there too, on the island.
Okay. Was it a pretty big Navy base then?
Oh, yeah.
Must have been huge.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
Would that dock like aircraft carriers and the whole thing?
Yes.
Come in there?
Yes. I did take a bus trip to Manila once, and that was the craziest thing. Like an old school bus, and have 50, 60 people on it. Chickens, and it was...
So they knew you were riding with the locals at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
You learned a few words, not
Enough to get you by?
Yeah.
So did you spend a couple days in Manila then?
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Don't remember?
No.
Do you remember seeing anything there even?
Not really.
It wasn't as fun as Subic
No.
Bay.
Yeah. Yep.
From all the stuff that you learned and did as UDT and the training and stuff, what do you think was like the biggest point that you brought back with you? Maybe not point or lesson.
It was my proudest moment when the Admiral handed me my certificate that said I graduated from UDT training.
I bet it was.
I was so proud of that. I didn't, I knew I couldn't quit. And we ran a marathon during our training on the beach with combat boots and shorts on. That was
a whole marathon?
That was tough.
I bet it was.
Yeah. I'd see a pole or something quarter mile down the beach, and I'd say, I'm going to make it there, and then I'm done. And I'd get there and, oh, God, look at that pole down there. I think I can make it that far.
It's always one more pole.
Yep. And that got me through it. But
26 miles later.
Yeah, that was tough.
I bet that was tough.
Yeah. And then had instructors harassing you the whole time.
Oh, yeah. You can't just be easy running.
Right.
No, that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, there can't be many people have done that.
No. It's the most lied about military career there is.
I believe that.
I've outed a couple of people over the years and said, oh, yeah, you were in UDT. What class were you in? And they can't tell you.
Yep.
Well, then you know darn well. Because I was in class 39.
And you'll never forget that.
No. Just think of that. Since World War II, there's only 39 classes that went through. So that's pretty amazing.
That's really amazing.
Yeah. And then a few years ago, my wife and I went to Fort Pierce, Florida, where that was the original UDT training.
Oh,
that's where they got their start. And now it's almost like a museum type thing. They've got all these boats and stuff sitting there. It's just amazing. If you're ever in Florida, you should really see Fort Pierce. Yeah. So we found my name in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, what class. And then we bought a paver with my name on it. And someday I'd like to go back and see that. Yeah. Try and find that paver.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would. See if anybody else in my class had been there.
Yeah.
It's just north of Miami a little bit.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think of that was the original. That's where UDT started.
Yep,
was in Florida,
and they don't use it anymore. And there is a UDT and SEAL team on the East Coast out of Virginia. Can't think of the naval base there, but
I should know it. And I don't know.
Yeah, they had the Mediterranean cruises where we had nothing but Vietnam. So
yeah. You're on the.
We thought that we were way better than those clowns.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what unit you're in the military; it's always the best one.
Yeah, and at the time, we had maybe 100 people in our team, 100 people in Team 12, maybe 100 people in SEAL team.
Okay. Yeah, that's not very many.
Now there's tons of them. And there is no more UDT. It's all SEAL team.
When did it combine into one? Do you know? Was it shortly after?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'd just be guessing.
Okay. Well, I want to look through your book some more.
Sure.
So if we can...
I went to Coronado in 1999 for a reunion, and boy, the place wasn't the same.
Oh, I bet not.
That was me and my best friend.
Okay.
And back in the day, we had an entryway to get into the main, our main base.
Yep.
And they had this huge clamshell there, and it was wide open. I mean, I don't know if it was real or if it was fake. But anyway, there was a sign inside there that said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, because I'm the meanest son of a bitch in the valley."
Well, I would say you probably were. I would say you probably were.
I always got a kick out of that when I saw it.
Well, do you got any more stories? Or I'll say I'm going to turn the microphones off, and I want to look through this.
Sure.
And I encourage anyone to come and ask you. I bet you'll show anyone this.
Yeah.
Because this can be amazing.
Sure.
Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks for your service and everything you did.
I enjoyed doing it.
And you really set it up for the rest of us. That even everyone that came later in the military.
Good.
Like you were the founding of UDT and in the military in whole.
I saw a sea hunt on TV back, and you probably don't even know what that is.
I don't.
It was this guy that did diving, and every episode he would be in a knife fight with somebody. Well, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I know somebody said in recorded history there's never been two guys in a knife fight.
Usually
Underwater.